is going on, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Stochastic NHL Strategy Show. I'm your host, Josh Harris. We took the day off yesterday, and if we're being honest, as the kids say, I was just cooked. Both my kids are sick, so that's, if you got kids in school right now, you know what's coming this winter, so needed a day off. I literally would have been useless on a show, but we have 10 games here tonight. Pretty good slate here, a couple of really big totals, couple of interesting chalky spots, I would say. Yes, that is not a Knicks hat, but joining me to break it down, Slim Cliffy. What's going on?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Got a feel for our boss, Jake Harry. Kind of a bad beat last night. The Joel Armia shorthanded goal caused him to lose the $20 by 0.6. As you mentioned to me before the show, if it was just an even strength goal, he would have won. But of course, the shorthanded bonus pushed somebody over the top. I mean, that's a terrible beat. I had a pretty good night on Thursday. Went about 30x, which, we take that. I had Ovechkin, Strome. Tom Wilson had one blocked shot on 8 goals. Thanks, Tom. Rasmus Sandin had the combo meal with an assist, though. He had a big night. Had Werenski and Jack Greaves. I had Anaheim 1. If I would have gotten 1 goal from them, I would have had a very, very large night. That night I was writing about the season-long fantasy hockey over at Dobber Hockey that I do, and I finished, it was a little after midnight. So I go and sit down on the couch to throw on the Sens and Anaheim game. As I'm putting on the game, it's the end of a power play for the Sens. Power play finishes. Leo Carlsson jumps out of the box, gets a pass to center ice, has a partial breakaway, rips a shot, ping off the post. At that point, I knew I was cooked. But I mean, 30x, you can't really complain about that, I guess. So, yeah, we took the day off yesterday, back here today. Interesting 10 gamer ahead of us because there's one really chalky spot we'll get to fairly early in the show, but it's not that far off from its top 2 stack percentage, so it's not terrible. There's also another chalky spot that is way far off from its top 2 stack percentage. That'll be interesting to break down. There's also some pretty big injury news, and not the bad kind this time, because we have Roman Josi coming back for Nashville. We have Thomas Chabot coming back from Ottawa. So a couple big defensemen back on the board. I'm sure Jake is really happy about Josi coming back. So excited to get through this 10 gamer.
Yeah, and I saw you someone. Ovi can still break a slate. He had a hat trick and an assist in 15:31. Ethan Frank had 2 goals, 2 assists in 8:51.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the fourth line for Washington that night had 4 goals and 4 assists in a combined 15 minutes and 30 seconds of, or no, 19 minutes and 30 seconds of ice time. It was around 20 minutes of total ice time between the three of them. They played 6 and 8 minutes or something like that. 4 goals and 4 assists. Needless to say, not a great game by the Habs.
It happens, especially if you're a Rangers fan. It happens. That same slate, they were up on the Avs, and they just got punished in the second half of that game. But Avs do that.
The Avs scored 4 in the third, something like that.
Avs do that to everybody, but it's demoralizing. But anyway, 10 games here. We should get into it. Let's start with Stewie Skinner. Edmonton Oilers with a 2.9 total. Heading into sunrise, the Florida Panthers have a 3.1 total. Edmonton going McDavid, Roslovic, Savoie, Draisaitl, Mangiapane, Podkolzin, and then Hyman down on the third line with Frederick and Hedrick. Florida going Marchand, Lundell, Samoskevich, Reinhart, Rodriguez, Bachquist, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Greer. Edmonton's not going 11-7 here. That's unfortunate. If you're thinking about playing the Oilers here, considering their big guys are spread across 3 lines, I don't mind Edmonton 1 here. It's a very small sample with Lundell, Marchand, Samoskevich, but they are very high event. Even when Luosterainen was there this season, they were very high event. And Luosterainen's a better defensive player than Samoskevich. So, McDavid, Roslovic, Savoie, not in the worst matchup here. They just look bad. Like, I don't want to say disinterested or anything like that because, in a snap of the fingers, they can just break a slate, but like they just don't look great. It's almost the same thing every year, right? Like the past 3 years, they played awful until like American Thanksgiving, and then they just flip a switch and McDavid just goes on an absolute heater. But like I don't mind McDavid, Roslovic, Hyman. It is, let's see, 18-9. No, sorry. It's way less than that. It is 16-8. I was subtracting the wrong player there. Like, that's not a bad price for a McDavid line, considering Roslovic's on the top power play. The Panthers do take a fair share of penalties. Oilers don't draw a lot of penalties, and I think that's the biggest issue here. So, like, I'm not super into playing Edmonton in single entry, especially in Florida. Now, they aren't the defensive team that they were last year, obviously missing those guys, and Lundell's been pretty bad defensively. So, if anything, it would be Edmonton 1. Like, Draisaitl, Podkolzin, and Mangiapane at 13-8. It's basically a filler line with Leon Draisaitl, but they're going to be, in matchups that aren't great. So, like, I'd rather just go to that top line. You want to one-off Zach Hyman. I think that's fine, but there was a stretch last year also when Hyman went down on the third line. He was only playing like 14 minutes, so that could be an expensive one-off or not a lot of ice time. So really it's Edmonton 1 or bust. That's more 20 max for me. My interest is on the Florida side, and Marchand, Lundell, Samoskevich, while they are very high event defensively, they're also high event offensively. They're going to see that McDavid line and, whatever. McDavid and Roslovic this season haven't been very good defensively. Savoie's just a kid. Their defensive pairs have been underperforming this year, and their goaltending has been bad. So Florida won at Lundell at 15,200 with 7.3% projected ownership would be my favorite line in this game. Lundell and Marchand have been playing a ton. So, for me, this is a Florida game. You want to go down to, Rodriguez and Reinhart. I think that's fine. I'd be more likely just to one-off Sam Reinhart or go down to like a Bennett Verhaeghe 2-man. But like with the price of Florida 1, that's probably my preferred spot of 15-2. So it would be both top lines here, and I prefer the Florida side by a lot.
Yeah, I was just looking at Edmonton's start last year. Edmonton started the season last year 10-9-2. That's where they were on November 22nd of 2024. After that, they went 19-4-1. So, like, I will say last year they had a lot better. Their underlying numbers were a lot better. So we don't have the same underlying numbers to point to this year. The frustrating thing about this Edmonton lineup is the only line that has 2 guys on it on the top power play unit is the third line. Henry got moved up to the top power play. So him and Hyman are on the top power play. And then Draisaitl and McDavid are by themselves on the first and second lines. That's annoying. What I will say about Hyman is that he's played 4 games. In 2 of those 4 games, he was listed as, quote, a third line winger for warmups. And so far in his 4 games, he's played 83% of his 5-on-5 time with Connor McDavid beside him. So, like, even if Hyman is slated on the third line, what's he going to play? Like half the game with McDavid at 5-on-5? Just at 5-on-5. That doesn't even include the power play. So, like, I'm fine with doing like a McDavid, Hyman, Henrique stack here because Henrique's under 3K. So you put him and McDavid together. You throw in Zach Hyman, that stack is under 18,000, and you get all 3 guys on the top power play unit. I mentioned that because this is a reasonably good power play spot. Like, the Oilers still have the same problem of not drawing power plays. They're down to 2.3 per game, power play opportunities per game over the last 5 weeks. It's the 4th lowest rate in the league. but the Panthers are taking a ton of penalties. They're the third most penalized team in the NHL over the last 5 weeks, or one of the most penalized teams in the NHL so far this season. Now, the penalty kill numbers are good, but the goaltending's been terrible. I feel like the Oilers' power play is good enough to make any goaltender look bad. Now, it feels awful to leave Leon Draisaitl off of an Edmonton stack, but if I can play McDavid, Henrique, and Hyman, who are perfectly correlated on the power play, 2 out of the 3 are on the third line. Hyman's going to end up playing a bunch of time with McDavid at 5-on-5 anyway. For under 18K, for under 5% ownership, like that feels like a pretty good deal to me. So I don't mind that kind of stack from Edmonton, but I think I agree with you. It's that Florida top line that does draw my interest. Like, Marchand's playing 19 to 20 minutes. Lundell well over 20 minutes. Even Samoskevich is getting around 15 minutes or so. 2 out of the 3 guys are on their top power play unit. They're at 2.9 expected goals, 65 shot attempts per 60 minutes. Looking at just Lundell and Marchand. So we know how bad Edmonton has struggled defensively. They look better against Tampa Bay the other night. Do have to say that, but is it a one-off or is it the start of something new?
Bless you.
Bless me. Who knows? Until I see more than one good game from them, I'm going to have to assume that they're going to continue to struggle. So I think Florida 1 is my favorite line in this game because they're so cheap, but I really don't mind a McDavid, Hyman, Henry stack here just because I do think it is a good power play spot.
Toronto Maple Leafs heading into Montreal. The Leafs have a 3 total. Montreal Canadiens have a 3.4 total. Montreal going Caulfield, Suzuki, Bolduc, Slavkovsky, Demidov, Kapanen. Leafs going Tavares, Yarncroc, Nylander, Easton Cowan, Lawton, Lorentz. I'll stop there. One of the chalky spots Cliffy was alluding to was Montreal 1. Caulfield, Suzuki, Bolduc, 17,700, 17% top 2 stack, 21.9% projected ownership. Now, honestly, like 4.9% negative leverage isn't awful, especially at 17,000. If they're like 22,300 coming in with that much negative leverage, then it would be somewhat of a concern. But at that price, like, it's not super concerning. They've only played 2 games together. They looked atrocious in the first one. They looked a little bit better in the second one. They went to the doctor, and the prescription they got some medicine on the prescription label. It said Toronto Maple Leafs Saturday night. Like, that will cure all ailments. This is one of the worst defensive teams in the league. They're, I think, last by actual goals against. Bad penalty kill. That top line's fully correlated. So I'm in on Montreal 1 here. 3.4 total, second highest on the slate. Biggest home total on the board by a mile, like by more than 10%, or about 10% as far as the 3.1. My math is awful. 10%. So, I do like Montreal 1 here. I don't care about a 2-game sample of them looking bad. The Leafs are atrocious defensively. They have problems in net. Their penalty kill sucks. So Montreal 1 for me. You want to one-off Slavkovsky, add him into a stack. You want a full power play stack. You can do that. Just add in Slavkovsky, add in Lane Hudson. I noticed that Noah Dobson was getting insane ownership when I looked, but and I thought I had to go check because I thought maybe he was the power play quarterback, but it is still Lane Hudson. So I'm fine with Montreal 1, fine with a full power play stack. On the Leafs side, like Tavares, Nylander, Yarncroc still fully correlated, but they're 19,100, and Cal Yarncroc is just a guy. You know what I mean? And in that range, for less ownership, you have Tampa 1. For a little bit more ownership and a little less, you have Dallas. For cheaper, you have Vegas. So, like, they're kind of priced in a pretty poor spot here. Not only that, like, yeah, sure, Montreal's been taking a lot more penalties, and that's good for Toronto, but, like, Toronto's power play is not good. They're missing Matthews, and last year when they missed Matthews, they actually scored more, but they had Marner, and Marner was extremely important. No matter what you thought about Mitch Marner, he was a key to that power play. So how good of a power play spot really is it? So for 19-1, 5.7% projected ownership, I would leave that to 20 to 150 max. I still think like the other night, my favorite play would be an Easton Cowan one-off from that side. He's like arguably outside of Nylander, their best forward. So I'm fine with the Cowan one-off just because he is on the power play. He is cheap. He's better than Yarncroc. So it would be Montreal 1, Montreal power play. Easton Cowan one-off. If you want to play Toronto 1, I'd save it for MME.
Yeah, I'll start on the Toronto side. In that game on Thursday against Columbus, Kyle Yarncroc was moved off the top line like halfway through the game and never got moved back.
Yeah.
And never got moved back. So, like, if Montreal's up 1-0 or 2-0 early in the second period, it's, banishment to the bottom six for Kyle Yarncroc. Like, you mentioned it on a show earlier this week. Like, 5 years ago in Nashville, he was a good, like, defensive middle six winger. This isn't 2019 anymore. It's been 5 or 6 years since he's been that player. Like, they're doing this out of sheer desperation because they just don't have enough healthy bodies to put two lines together, let alone three. So they have to put bad players with their best players to hope that they can kind of plug some holes. Phrasing. But I don't think that Yarncroc is going to last the game there unless Toronto gets out to a big lead, which they could, because I don't know if anybody's watched Montreal over the last few weeks. A number of teams have been getting out to big leads against them. So I don't hate the idea of Toronto 1. I still can't put Kelly Yarncroc into my lineup is kind of the problem. Like, I'm going to be honest, at this point, I'd rather just leave off Yarncroc and put in Cowan and make it it's still a power play stack, but Cowan's just, outside of like Tavares, Nylander, or Matthews or whatever, he's been their best forward, their most impressive forward this season. So I don't mind taking Yarncroc out and putting Cowan in. And Montreal has been taking a lot of penalties, 3.5 times shorthanded per game over the last 5 weeks, and the penalty kill's not been good. Whether you look at the goaltending or just their shots and expected goals against on the PK, it's not been good. So it's not a bad matchup for Toronto, but as you mentioned, the power play is worse without Matthews. Even if you include last year when Marner was there, expected goals goes down like 15%, goal scoring goes down nearly 20%, and that's from a power play that was just a little bit better than league average. Like, it's not good. So I don't know. I'm fine with playing Toronto here. I'm going to be honest. I would almost consider Toronto 2, Robertson, McMahon, Domi, just because they don't have anybody else they can play. And Toronto 2 is perfectly correlated on the power play. And they've been getting about 40% of the power play time since Matthews got hurt because the top unit's not doing anything. So I take perfectly correlated line that's getting decent power play minutes and is going to see the depth from Montreal. And I mean, has anybody watched this team when Nick Suzuki's off the ice since Doc got hurt? Like, it is not fun to watch. So I honestly think I like Toronto 2 as a filler stack. Like, if you're playing Edmonton power play or Colorado or something like that, I don't mind Toronto 2 here. On the Montreal side, like, he's not... I don't know if he's the most important player on the line, but man, if you look at the Montreal's top line numbers, the numbers for the top line without Slafkovsky there over the last couple of years, they go from great to bad. And like, I'm not like exaggerating. They go from a 53% expected goal share to 43% expected goal share. They go from 4 goals per 60 to 2.7 goals per 60. Their shot attempt rate goes down 20%. Can Bolduc replace that? I think he can if you give him a month or two to get some chemistry with him, because like Suzuki's and Caulfield play a very specific way. I mentioned it before. They play like McDavid and Draisaitl do when McDavid and Draisaitl play together. No, I'm not saying they're on the level of McDavid and Draisaitl. I'm saying they have similar offensive play styles when they do play together. They look for the cross-seam passes. They look for the backdoor tap-ins. They're not necessarily, chip it in and grind on the forecheck. Bolduc can do that, but like, man, that line has very bad numbers together going back to without Slafkovsky, that top line has bad numbers going back to last year. And if you want me to play them at 20 to 25% ownership on a 10-game slate, I guess they're fine because they're perfectly correlated, but I'm not super excited about playing it. I honestly think I like the Toronto side more here. If I'm on the Montreal side, it'd be more like one-offs. Like I'm fine with one-offing Demidov. I'm fine with one-offing, even Slafkovsky, considering he's playing on the second line. He's still going to get good minutes, but my interest is on the Toronto side in this game.
That's interesting because I don't really have interest in the Toronto side. But, it is what it is. Promo code Hardwood after that read because that was phrasing bonanza. New Jersey Devils with a 2.7 total heading into Philadelphia. The Flyers have a 2.7. Devils are loading up their top line going Bratt, Hischier, Meyer. Second line is Mercer, Grietzuk, Connor Brown. The Flyers are going Couturier, Michkov, Brink, Konechny, Cates, Forrester, Zegras, Tippett, Dvorak. So the new Devils line here is only 18,300, fully correlated, 10.3% top two stack, 6.8% projected ownership. Nico Hischier and Timo Meier have very good numbers together. Nico Hischier and Jesper Bratt, not as good as Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt, but with Timo Meier, they're going to be fine. This is just not the matchup for it. I would much rather not be going into Philadelphia, for this matchup. Seeing the Cates line, I mean, with Couturier there, they're not like world beaters or anything, but they're still very slow paced. It's just a grind. So it for Devils 1 here, I'm fine with them just because they're going to play an absolute ton. They're fully correlated. Their power play without Hughes remains to be seen if it's still going to be good. Add Dougie, please. 6.8% projected ownership is fine. Like, I'd be more likely to play Devils 1 than Toronto 1. You're saving $800. You're coming in right around the same ownership. It's just a tough matchup. So, it would be Devils 1 for me on their side. On the Flyers side, I think it's important to note that, with Nico Hischier off the ice, I don't know if this team's going to be any good. It's going to be like the Habs depth. Maybe, it might be that bad. So, I'm looking at Tippett, Zegras, Dvorak. They're going to avoid the Nico Hischier line. 12,800, 2.8% projected ownership coming in right at their top two. The power play correlation isn't great, but the Devils were already struggling defensively at 5-on-5. They loaded up the top line. There's just a bunch of guys after that. Their defensive pairs haven't been good this season. Their goaltending honestly hasn't been that good either. So I do like Zegras, Tippett, Dvorak at 12.8 as a filler. I also think Couturier, Michkov, Brink is fine for $1,500 less. I'd much rather Tippett, Zegras, Dvorak. But like a two-man of Couturier, Michkov, Brink, I think is fine if you need the salary savings. But Devils 1, Flyers 3. But I think I prefer the Flyer side here.
Yeah, I'll be quick on New Jersey. I don't mind the top line in a nutshell. I think Meyer, Hischier, and Bratt, give them 20 games. They'll be perfectly fine. This is just a really tough matchup. Philly doesn't take a lot of penalties, 2.9 times shorthanded per game over the last 6 weeks. It's better than league average. Their penalty kill is good on top of that. So you have to make this a 5-on-5 matchup. Cates and Konechny, 52 shot attempts against per 60 in their minutes together this year. It's not a great matchup at 5-on-5. It's a bad matchup for the power play. So I'm just out on New Jersey. I just imagining going back 2 months and just telling myself that there's a Devils Flyers game where I don't have interest in New Jersey. My interest is on the Flyers side. Man, things change fast. Zegras, Tippett, and Dvorak is where I would go as well. the way Philly's running their lines, they're basically running that line and the Cates line as like a 1A, 1B. And then Couturier, Mitchkoff, and Brink is pretty much the third line at this point. So, that Zegras line, Zegras at the top will be getting 19 minutes. Dvorak and Tippett, 16, 17 minutes. That's perfectly fine for that price. Even though Tippett's only playing like 16 minutes a game, he's still over 2 shots per game over his last 5 games. So he's still getting a little bit of volume off. 58 shot attempts, 3.2 expected goals per 60 in 115 minutes together. They've been pretty good at 5-on-5, and they're going to avoid Hischier. And like you said, once you get into those second and third lines, like we said, the whole problem with Jack Hughes getting hurt wasn't that Hischier's line would be worse. Like, they've been fine. It's that with Cody Glass out, there is no one left. Like, Dawson Mercer's not a second line center in the NHL. Like, he's just not. So I really do like Zegras, Tippett, Dvorak here, 12,800. Like you said, the power play correlation isn't great, but I mean, when do you ever stack the Flyers because of power play correlation, right? I guess the Cates, the old Cates line when Brink and Forster were there, yeah, they were fine because they're like 10K or whatever. But it's the Zegras line that from the Flyers that I like best in this game. I think the Flyers technically have 3 playable lines here, but give me the line with the highest top 2 stack that has a 3.2 expected goals at 5-on-5 this year. So Zegras, Tippett, Dvorak for me out of this one.
There are many games in contenders for this game sucks, but I think we have landed, my friends. Seattle Kraken with a 2.9 total heading into Pittsburgh. The Penguins have a 2.8. This game sucks. The Pittsburgh Penguins played last night, got shut out against the Wild. They managed 19 shots on goal. And Connor Dewar's on the top line because fuck Ben Kindle, right? He look good up there. So let's move him down. Pittsburgh going Crosby, Rust, Dewar, Malkin, Mantha, Hayes, Kindle, Novak, Sam Poulin. Seattle going Eberle, Beniers, Marchment, Schwartz, Stevenson, Tolvanen, Wright, Gaudreau, Catton.
I'm gonna be honest. Can the Penguins really run back the same lines after that performance?
They shouldn't.
It's just keep an eye on warm up because I can't imagine it.
I don't think they will, but also they are definitely sneak tanking and they're pissed off that they're winning.
I mean, at this point, I think they have to try to make the playoffs. So, we'll see. Yeah,
but we'll see what the lines look like. Eberle, Beniers, Marchment, 12,200, 4.7% top 2 stack, 12.8% projected ownership. Here's my answer. I'm going to play the Dvorak line. I cannot play chalk Seattle. I can't. That line has been bad. Legit bad on every metric since they've been together. It's only been 40 minutes, but they've been terrible. So I'm not 13%. No, I'll just go play Dvorak. Stevenson, Tolvanen, and Schwartz, as sickening as this sounds, is their most playable line. Do I want to play them? Hell no. But they are 10,500 coming in at 5%. So it's could you do worse than Stevenson and Tolvanen if you're power play stacking the Avs? Yes. Do I want to play Stevenson and Tolvanen in a Avs power play stack? No. But if you're doing it, beggars can't be choosers. I think it's the most playable line. Do I want to play them? Absolutely not. So in my single entry lineup here tonight, I doubt heavily you'll see any Kraken. If you happen to get to some in MME, that's a different story because pinning down what to do with Seattle is a fool's errand and you just let optimizers decide for you. Pittsburgh, I would have some interest in. I just, you want to play Crosby Rust, sure. But like Connor Dewar there, no thanks. And the problem is, like, if they move Ben Kindle back up, he's $1,800 more, and that would make Pittsburgh top line 20,100. So like, I don't want to spend $20,000 for Pittsburgh on a back-to-back after taking a week off from being in Europe. So like, I guess it would be like Malkin Mantha 2-man or like a Kindle Novak 2-man, but like I'm really not running out to play this game. I hope it's like a 1-0 shootout win for somebody.
Yeah, I will say, like, I mean, I'm not playing a 13% Seattle top line either. Like, I'll say straight up, they're not going to be in my lineup. One of the arguments for playing them is they're getting good ice time, right? Like, over the last 5 games, Marchman's around 18 minutes, Eberle's around 20, Beniers around 22. Like, that's a lot of ice time. It's Mikey Anderson levels of ice time. They're just not doing a whole lot. Like, earlier in the season, we talked about how top line was kind of playable because Matt Beniers was shooting the puck for the first time since like November of 2023.
Yeah, that's
yeah, it's done. 9 shots in his last 10 games. That's like, so at triple their top 2, stack them out on Seattle 1. Seattle 2, like you said, I guess they're playable if you're playing them with Colorado or something. 10,500. I'm going to be honest, I'd rather go play Toronto 2. So like, I just, or even like, you know, we just talked about Philly, the Couturier Mitchkop, if Brink is there, the Couturier Mitchkop Brink line is 11,300. They're only a few $100s more expensive. Like, I'm just out on Seattle. Pittsburgh, I would have interest in if we get some sort of different lines at warm-up. It feels bad late swapping to, or warm-up swapping to the Penguins on a back-to-back. I'm not playing the top line with Connor Dewar there. Like, I think I made light of him being on the top line. Like, Connor Dewar is not a bad player, quote. It's just he doesn't do anything offensively. And when you don't do anything offensively, like, he's a good defensive winger, which is fine. But when you don't do anything offensively, that's when your line turn pucks overs, can't sustain pressure because you can't play with the guys that you're playing alongside of. Like, it's that old adage of like, it's always been hard to find wingers to play with Crosby because you have to play with Sidney Crosby. You're not playing with some third or fourth liner, right? Like, you have to have the skill to keep up, not necessarily just the speed. If Connor Dewar's not there, if it's like almost anybody else in the lineup, like if it's Tommy Novak, if it's Mantha, hell, if it's like Blake Lizotte or Danton Heinen, I swear to God, I would at least consider playing the top line. If it's Connor Dewar there again, like, just count me out. So I guess by default, my interest would be in the second line of Mantha, Malkin, and Hayes. Do I want to play Kevin Hayes in November of 2025? It's like, it's a pass for me. I honestly think my favorite thing in this game is something from the third line. Like you said, Ben Kindle, Tommy, and a Tommy Novak 2-man. I think that's my favorite thing from the Pittsburgh side. At least Kindle's on the top power play, but the Penguins aren't drawing any power plays, 2.2 per game. They're scoring well. They're like 36% on the power play over the last 5 weeks, which is insane. But they're only drawing a little over 2 power plays a game. I think Pittsburgh, like a 2-man from Pittsburgh 3 is the only thing I like in this game. I'm with you. I'm hoping for like a 2-1 shootout.
Yeah, and it's who is it? Sergei Murashov in net for Seattle. He's good though. He had really good AHL numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Like, some of the goaltending people I follow seem to be pretty high on him. I don't listen, man.
Goalies are impossible.
Goalies are voodoo is a famous phrase for a reason, but the goaltending, prospect people that I follow all seem really high on him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, let's just transition to this butte. Ottawa Senators with a 3.1 total heading into San Jose. The Sharks have a 2.5 because, you know what? I'm happy there's afternoon hockey in San Jose because it's not late hammer hockey in San Jose. So we'll know early if your night's over or not. San Jose is going Celebrini, Will Smith, Kurashev. Cool. Eklund, Toffoli, Wenberg. Ottawa's going Stützle, Batherson, Perron. Pinto, Giroux, Amadio, Cousins, Grieg, Zetterland. The Sharks top line is getting ownership here again. Celebrini, Smith, Kurashev, 15,100, 7% top two stack, 10.8% projected ownership. Like, they're scoring, but they're not creating. And I think, like, and they're not winning the puck share battle. They're getting absolutely caved defensively.
I think they're shooting like 18% or something like that.
Yeah, so like Celebrini is Celebrini, but it's like this Kurashev line is what we thought it was going to be. Bad offensively, terrible defensively. So, like, I'm fine with the Celebrini one-off because you're a wizard, Harry. Like, he is an elite player already in this league. And he plays over 20 minutes a night. He's on the top power play that they're still sneak tanking with John Klingberg. But Ottawa has a terrible penalty kill. So, like, a Celebrini Smith two-man is fine. Celebrini Eklund two-man or something like that. I really don't want to play the Sharks here. It's a bad 5-on-5 matchup. These lines aren't very good offensively at 5-on-5. The only thing that makes sense is a power play stack, but, like, it's Klingberg and not Orlov, and Tyler Toffoli is still on power play too for Wenberg. So, like, do I really want to play the Sharks here tonight? Probably not. Outside of, like, a Celebrini and bring one other power play guy along, that's probably where I'm at on the Sharks. My interest is on the Ottawa side, and it's kind of – there's two ways to go about it here because, one, like, these lines are really bad defensively for the Sharks, and the Celebrini line is really, really bad. But, like, I don't really want to play Cousins, Grieg, Zetterland. So, like, I will take my chances with Pinto, Giroux, Amadio, 11,800, 2.8% projected ownership against the bottom six of the Sharks. Like, that's a fair bet that it will go Ottawa's way. This line in 135 minutes, which is a very large sample for a third line. 2.9 expected goals for, 3.9 actual, controlling 60% of the shot share. Those are excellent numbers. There's nothing in the bottom six. There's nothing on – okay, let me rephrase. There's nothing on the Sharks roster that can compete with that. So, like, if I was going to play a 5-on-5 line, it would absolutely be Pinto, Giroux, Madio. Now, the Sharks penalty kill, bad. So what I think you could do is go Stützle, Batherson, leave off Perron, add in Giroux. That is the other route because there's really not a lot of ownership on Ottawa here. And, you know, listen, Ottawa's been bad. It is what it is. So, like, but, you know, Shabbat's back, and that's important because he's an excellent puck mover. So, like, that moves people back into place on the blue line. So I do like the sense here. I'm leaning towards just going to that third line, Pinto, Giroux, Amadio. I think, you know, adding in a second power play guy if you just want, like, just Ottawa 3 plus Batherson or Ottawa 3 plus Stützle, something like that. So I prefer the Ottawa side. There's multiple ways to go about it, but I think I'm leaning towards just playing the Pinto line.
Yeah. Chalk Sharks.
Back. I'm not sure, actually.
What's that?
Quick part is asking if Grieg is back. I'm actually not sure.
Yeah. On the San Jose side, like, this is a chalky spot, and Ottawa's an excellent defensive team at 5-on-5. Like, that is one of the big problems here for me. You know, just look at the Anaheim game the other night. The Ducks really struggled to create well. If you look at the last 20 games for each team across the league, Ottawa is second by expected goals against per 60 at 5-on-5. Now, the penalty kill still hasn't been great. Big part of that's the goaltending. The problem with that is that Ottawa is not a team that takes very many penalties. Fourth fewest times shorthanded per game over the last 5 weeks. So the Sharks may only get a couple power plays here tonight. A couple power plays for a power play unit that has not been good in a bad 5-on-5 matchup, coming in with ownership at 2 times their top 2 stack. Like, that's just, it's an easy pass for me. So I'm always fine with like a Celebrini one-off or even an Eklund one-off or something like that, because like Eklund's going to play minutes. because he's in a shutdown matchup and on the top power play. So if you want to do that, I think that's fine. I'm out on full stacking the Sharks. I am in more on the Ottawa side. Like Pinto, Giroux, and Amadio have been really good, as you mentioned. Not worried about any of the matchups coming back from the Sharks. They're one of those cheap lines that I really do not mind stacking here tonight. Like, they're what, $1,300 more? No, sorry, $400 less than that Seattle top line. Coming in with a fraction of the ownership. I'm kind of tempted to go to the Ottawa top line. And as you said, take out Perron and put in Giroux or Cousins or something like that, just because this is a pretty good power play matchup for the Sens. San Jose does take penalties. They're worse than league average in that regard over the last 5 weeks. And the San Jose penalty kill is just flat out bad. So, like, this is a pretty good power play matchup for Ottawa. It's a really good 5-on-5 matchup for him. Sergei Askarov could go out and make 30 saves on 31 shots, and it ruins your night. That's perfectly possible, but Ottawa should be able to get the run of play here tonight. I would probably take out, like I said, I don't mind the top line here. I would take out Perron, put in one of the power play guys. If you want to use Pinto, Giroux, and Amadio as a filler, as you mentioned, they've been really good. A 5-on-5 matchup is great, but I think it's the Ottawa top line that I kind of prefer here. Like, they're not getting heavy ice time, but Stützle, Batherson up around 18 to 20 minutes. And if you add in like Giroux or something like that, he's playing like 17, 18 minutes a game. So you get good ice time, you get power play correlation. They're reasonably priced in a very, very good 5-on-5 matchup and a very good power play matchup. So Ottawa won for me, but I certainly don't mind Pinto, Giroux, and Amadio as a filler.
Tampa Bay Lightning with a 2.9 total heading into Washington. The Caps have a 3 total. Tampa is going Cirelli, Hagel, Kucherov, Point, Gensel, Dominic James, Gonsalves, Paul, Bjorkstrand. Now, Dominic James plays like 11 minutes a night. So, like, I feel like people are just going to rotate through that spot with Point and Gensel. Washington is going Ovechkin, Strome, Beauvillier, Wilson, Protas, Sordif, McMichael, Leonard, Duhaime. So it is Logan Thompson in net. He is already confirmed. He hasn't been great of late, but like every player in the NHL goes through some ebbs and flows, and he has been very, very good all season. Washington is a good 5-on-5 team. Where you can beat them is on the penalty kill. I don't really want to like go Point, Gensel, Kucherov here because that becomes like $23,000 stack. It's just like at that point, I'm just going to go play Colorado. But I think you could, obviously you can win off Kucherov. I think you do like Kucherov, Bjorkstrand, Radish or something like that. Gensel, Kucherov, Radish. I'd find some way to build some sort of power play stack with Kucherov and Radish. I think the guy I'd be most likely to leave off is Braden Point, and I know that's like the kiss of death, but like he hasn't been great this season.
I was going to say congrats to Braden Point on his natural hat trick tonight.
Yeah, he's going to break the slate now, but I think that's where I would go, like some sort of power play stack with Radish and Kucherov. If you want to just full stack Kucherov, Hagel, Cirelli, like that's fine because they've been really, really good. It's not the best matchup though. I'd find some way to just do a Tampa power play stack. Not my favorite thing on the slate, but I'd never say no to Kucherov and Radish because Radish is still in the top power play. He's still, reasonably priced at $3,700. I still think there's a couple more games that you can do it without it becoming super price prohibitive. So that's where I am on the Tampa side. On the Washington side, like Ovechkin, Strome, Beauvillier honestly have been very, very good. Where I run into problems with them is ice time. Like it's priced in 14,500. That's probably about the ice time they play, 14 minutes and 50 seconds. You know what I mean? So like it's priced in. You get two of the guys on the top power play unit. They've been really, really good in almost 120 minutes sample. You want to leave off Beauvillier, add in Tom Wilson. You want to play the guys on the blue line. I think that's always in play for Washington. You need a cheap two-man. Like McMichael, Leonard have been fairly fine together on the third line. But for me, I think it would be the top line. You want to add in Wilson instead of Beauvillier, perfectly fine. On the Tampa side, it's Kucherov, add in Radish, and if you want, add in the third power play guy.
I was going through this slate today. Like, I knew the Tampa Bay power play wasn't doing well. I didn't realize how bad they had been. Do you know that Tampa Bay has played 20 games? The Seattle Kraken have played 20 games, and Tampa Bay has fewer power play goals than the Seattle Kraken. It is bad.
Put Hagel on the power play, big boys.
I mean, I don't know what's going on, but the thing is like, it's not even one of those, sometimes you see a team generate a bunch of shots and expected goals and all that, and it's just a low shooting percentage. Eventually it turns around. That's not the case here. The Tampa Bay top power play units at 97 shot attempts per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. That is below league average, and it's a lot worse than they typically have been over the years. This is not a good power play. They have the talent to turn it around over the next 60-some games. Do I want a power play? It is a great power play spot for them. That's why I bring it up. Washington is one of the most penalized teams in the league over the last 5 weeks. Fourth most, in fact. Tampa Bay does draw a lot of power plays. Like, Tampa could easily see 4 or 5 power play opportunities here tonight. Can they score on them? I think is a different question entirely, because this is, like I said, there's not positive signs of regression here. There is just signs of this power play unit sucking ass. So I don't, at their prices, like, Washington's pretty good at 5-on-5. As you mentioned, Logan Thompson is in net. At their prices, I'd probably just rather go play Colorado. So I think I'm just out on Tampa. I don't know. If you want to stack some of the depth guys, I think it's fine, but I'm just kind of out on Tampa. I'm in on the Washington side. I wonder if it's just chasing points because they've had a couple big games this week already, but I was wondering about the Washington top line as well, because they started hot, a lot of expected goals, good goal scoring. So I just looked over their last 10 games. Their last 10 games, they're still at 65 shot attempts and 3.1 expected goals for per 60. And they're not getting a lot of ice time. Beauvillier around 15, Ovechkin 16 to 17. Strome will play 18 and 19, but the guy doesn't shoot. So it's kind of, again, we're looking at Mikey Anderson time here. But they've been really good at 5-on-5. Tampa Bay's not been that great defensively at 5-on-5. So I think it's Washington 1 that I prefer the most in this game. I will say Washington 2 is playable. Wilson, Protest, and Sordif, just because they've been really good in a small sample together, 50 minutes, 87 shot attempts, 5.5 expected goals per 60. Obviously, those numbers are going to come down. But they've been really, really good, and they're priced as a filler. So I don't mind Washington 2, but this is a Washington 1 game for me. And like I said, until I see some signs of life from the Tampa Bay power play, I can't really do much more with them than just like one-off Kucherov or one-off Hagel or something like that. One-off Jake Gensel. Maybe he pops another Hattie while his line mates do nothing. I mean, it'll happen. But I can't do much more with Tampa than one-off until I see some signs of life from that power play. Because like I said, there's no signs of positive regression here. They're just bad.
Serious question. Would you rather do something with the Tampa power play here tonight or the Leafs?
Probably the Leafs. Because at the very least, the Leafs are in a good 5-on-5 matchup as well. So if you say that the power play matchup is even, they're in a better 5-on-5 matchup. So I'd take the Leafs. Yeah,
that's fair. Colorado Avs with a 3.5 total heading into Nashville. The Preds have a 2.5. Roman Josi returns for Nashville. They've been off for a week because they were in Europe. And if any indication of how the Pittsburgh Penguins played last night, taking a week off is generally bad for your team.
I mean, having watched the Nashville Predators over the last 100 regular season games, would anybody even notice if they sucked?
It's like a tree falling in the forest.
The Nashville Predators play terrible. Does it matter what their schedule is?
No. But Colorado's going McKinnon, Netchus, Lehkonen, Nelson, Colton, Brindley, and then Olofsson, Landeskog, Drury. The only reason I mentioned that third line is they moved Landeskog to the top power play unit over Victor Olofsson. Nashville going Forsberg, O'Reilly, Evangelista, Stamkos, Halla, Wood. So, like, honestly, like, the Nashville top line has been good. That's their one.
Just quickly, Brindley's out.
Brindley's out.
Yeah, he got hurt in the last game. He's not even with the team.
Oh, I see that. Landeskog's on the second line with Nelson and Colton. Sorry. The top stacks there were wrong. I'll note that in my weekly report that I send to Jake. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, the Nashville top line has actually been pretty good. From a creation standpoint, a possession standpoint, they just aren't scoring standpoint. Does Yossi help that? Probably. Is this the matchup to do it? No. Colorado, wagon. They have one regulation loss this season.
I was looking earlier. Their goal with their goal differential, they're on pace to have a better goal differential than that Boston Bruins team from a few years ago that had the best regular season ever.
Yeah. So, like, I'm out on the Preds. If you happen to get like one Nashville top line in, your 20 max mix, it's fine just because they're fully correlated. They play minutes. They've been good, but this is just a brutal, brutal matchup. The question is what to do with the Avs here. Now, Colorado won 22,800, fully correlated. 19.3% top two, 7.3% projected ownership. I guarantee you McKinnon's going to be like 25-30% here tonight. It is what it is. That's how it's been. I think, the lowest owned guy in that line is going to be Marty Netchus because he's 7,200. So, like, would I one-off McKinnon here? Probably not. I think I would go the full line here. Or if you want to make it cheaper, leave off Lehkonen and add in Landeskog. That will save you $2,700 and make that a $20,100 stack, which tastes a little bit better. That being said, this line is outrageous. The Preds have been off for a week. It doesn't matter the matchup, even though that Ryan O'Reilly line has been good. Colorado one's pretty much my favorite line of the night. They have the biggest total. They're on the road, but whatever. So Colorado 1, Colorado power play for me. Nashville 1 is fine if you get into the 20 max mix, but this is just a terrible matchup.
Yeah, I don't have any obviously Nashville can win this game. I'm assuming Colorado does win this game, but is it a game where Colorado wins like 6-3 like they did the other night? And there's actually some guys from the Preds that do well, right? Because it's not like this Nashville's top line is 19K. At 15,800, like one correlated goal and a shot bonus with like a couple shots and a couple blocks scattered here and there is okay. If you can get two correlated goals, then all of a sudden you're in business. And that Nashville top line with Evangelista there, 74 shot attempts, 2.9 expected goals per 60. They're shooting under 8% because it's still the Nashville Predators, but they're creating quite a bit. And the Colorado top line has been league average defensively. I don't think I'm going to get to Nashville, which I can't believe I actually have to say that out loud. But like you said, if I get one, if I were 20 maxing, like 1 out of 20 in a 20 max or like 3 or 4 or something in a 150, I think is playable. These guys are still perfectly correlated with 18 to 20 minutes a game, have been good offensively at 5-on-5 and are not in a bad 5-on-5 matchup. It's a bad power play matchup. It's a really bad power play matchup for Nashville. But it's not a bad 5-on-5 matchup. You don't need a massive game from them. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to get to them, but it's not like they're unplayable. Let's put it that way. Colorado is the line of the night. Like they are 22,800 with the highest top 2 stack. Their last 10 games, 3.1 expected goals per 60. All three guys are playing 21 to 22 minutes a game. With Burnley out, that seems fairly stable because their forward depth is really starting to get challenged. Even Lehkonen has 15 shots in his last 5 games. So, like, everybody's contributing here. What worries me is the Colorado power play is not that great. So, like, it's better than Tampa Bay's, but not anywhere near as good as, like, Edmonton or Dallas or something like that. But Colorado 1 is absolutely good enough to get there. Even like if they go like 1 for 4 on the power play, like this line can still shred anybody at 5-on-5. I'll say personally, I don't think I'm going to play them because I usually don't spend $23K on a line on a slate this big. For me, like I usually wait for 4, 5, 6 game slates to do that. But if Nashville comes out flat, they're going to get run over. Just like Pittsburgh did last night. But Colorado 1 is the best top line on the board here, or the best line period on the board here tonight. So they're very, very playable. That second line is kind of interesting in a way. Like Landeskog's 3,300, Colton is 3,100, Nelson is 4,100. That's 10,700 off the top of my head for a second line that is going to get minutes. Like they're going to get, Landeskog might get like 17, 18 because of the power play time, and the other guys will be like 15, 16. The Nashville depth, it's like once you get to the Eric Hollis, lines, that's where Nashville is very poor defensively. I honestly like Colorado 1. They're the best line of the night. It's whether you want to pay upwards or 22,800 for them. I think Colorado 2 is very much playable as a filler because, like I said, I'm not necessarily stacking the Avs for their power play prowess here. It's because of the 5-on-5 matchup. And Colton and Nelson have been good together. Landeskog is getting top power play time. I think Colorado 2 is a very playable filler here.
Yeah. Am I drinking straight blue Curacao? No, I am more classy than that. It is Mad Dog 2020.
I was going to say, is it Revs?
No, it's just water with some caffeine flavoring.
Gotcha.
I'm tired. New York Rangers with a 2.9 total heading into Utah. The Soakers have a 3 total. I had to say it at least once this season. JT Miller is out for the Rangers. They are going Mika Zibanejad, Will Cooley, Johnny Brzezinski. Please just call back up Gabriel Perreault. Artemi Panarin with Trocheck and Lafreniere. Not even worth mentioning the third line. Cooley is back on power play 1 without JT Miller. Utah is going Keller, Schmaltz, Hayton, Cooley, Genther, Carcone. This is a pretty bad matchup for the Rangers. These Utah lines are very, very good defensively. It's an all right power play matchup, but like you can say what you want about JT Miller. He's kind of an important part of that power play. So if anything, I'm going to go to Panarin, Trocheck, Miller. But it's just really not a great matchup. But 17,000 Lafreniere, not Miller, makes it cheaper. Sorry, the top stacks.
That line's 15,700.
Yeah, 15,700. Like that line is just way too cheap. That would be the line I would go to. Will Utah treat that as the top line?
I should think so.
I think so as well. And, Hayton, Schmaltz, and Keller going back seasons is very, very good defensively. So it's a 20 max thing for me. I don't really want to play top 6 Johnny Brzezinski. I guess like a one-off Will Cooley is fine just because he's like a Tasmanian devil. But I really don't love the Rangers here. My interest would be on the Utah side. And listen, that top line is fully correlated. They're 15,900 coming in under 2%. The Rangers penalty kill has been bad. The only thing saving their carcass is Igor Shesterkin, but the price is fine here. They got guys all over the place where they shouldn't be. The Gavrikov-Fox pairing is the one concern. I think it's Quick in net here tonight. I haven't seen a goalie confirmed.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so, like, listen, I do really like Utah 1 here at the ownership. So it would be Utah 1. You want to add in Dylan Guenther, sure. But Utah 1, and on the Rangers side, it'd be that Trocheck line. But for similar prices, I'll just go to the home team here.
Yeah, I mean, your point about Miller in the power play is also kind of important because, I mean, one, the Rangers don't draw power plays. We've been saying that basically every time they're on the show. They're at 2.3 power play opportunities per game over the last 5 weeks. It's the third lowest rate in the league. Utah doesn't take penalties either. Sixth least penalized team in the league over the last 5 weeks. So, like, this isn't necessarily a good power play spot for the Rangers, but that Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere line being under 16K. I mean, we were playing them at 19, 20,000 even when Lafreniere wasn't on the top power play unit, over the last couple of years. And these guys are at a 60% shot share in their time together so far this season. Now, it's a bad 5-on-5 matchup, but, at that price, you have to at least consider them, right? Just because this line assuming Trocheck gets going with his power play time and starts producing, he's going to be over 6K again. Lafreniere is not going to stay at 3,500. I just think it's not that I like this spot for that Trocheck, Panarin, Lafreniere line. It's just I think under 16K is way too cheap. So if you're looking for if you're using a couple mid-price lines to stack here tonight, I think this is one you have to at least consider. It's the only line I want to play from the Rangers side. On the Utah side, like, I didn't have interest in them until I saw Jonathan Quick was starting, which is like, Quick's actually been good for them. That's the thing. It's like, this isn't a Vasilevsky to Jonas Johansson situation or something like that. But that Utah top line, 60 shot attempts, 3.1 expected goals per 60. Like, they've been really, really good at 5-on-5. And as you mentioned, the Rangers penalty kill has been bad. And the thing is, what's making it worse is that they're taking a fair number of penalties, 8th most in the league over the last 5 weeks. Rangers penalty kill in that span, second most shots against, 6th most goals against, 5th most expected goals against per 60. The penalty kill has just flat out been bad. So this is a pretty good power play spot for Utah. If you want to just play just the top line, that's perfectly fine. They're my favorite line in this game. If you want to add in Dylan Guenther for the additional power play exposure, I think that's fine as well. Feels hard to leave Guenther off a Utah stack when they're in such a good power play spot. I like the Utah side a lot better, especially with like 1-2% ownership here. But I think the Trocheck line is certainly in play because of their price.
Yeah, like, Quick isn't the guy he was for the Kings. Like, he doesn't have to be. Like, he can still be that guy, like,
thank God he's not, because by the end of his tenure, that's right. That's why they got rid of him.
Yeah, I meant, like, the 2014 Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and I know what you meant.
That Henrik Lundqvist got goalie interference. I will go to my grave with that, but yeah.
Oh, you're going to complain about goalie interference.
Oh, please. Gallagher got tripped him. But anyway, we bring that up at least 3 times this season. Let's talk about the Ducks. Super Bowl 21 for Frostback. Vegas Golden Knights with a 3.2 total. Heading into Anaheim, the Ducks, 2.9 total. Vegas going Eichel, Barbashev, Braden Bowman, Marner, Hurdle, Dorofeev. Ducks going Cutter, Gauthier, Leo Carlson, Beckett, Seneca, Terry, Kreider, McTavish. So they flip-flop McTavish and Leo Carlson here. Now, Gauthier and Seneca with McTavish, or, most of their times with McTavish, excellent offensive numbers. I don't see how Leo Carlson makes that any worse, because Leo Carlson's having a much better season than Mason McTavish. Now, Kreider and Terry together with Leo Carlson, also very good numbers. Is Mason McTavish out of the doghouse yet? Is he going to take another 8 minutes of high sticking penalties here? I don't know. But what I do know is I think the way these lines are is going to be a little bit worse defensively. That's, whatever. It's like shuffling, as Clifford would say, shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic. This isn't a very good defensive team. My interest on the Vegas side would be Marner, Hurdle, Dorofeyev, perfectly correlated, 17,900, 11.4% top two stack. Excuse me, 9.5% projected ownership. This line has been an absolute wagon at 5-on-5 in 140 minutes, 3.3 expected goals for, controlling the play, excellent defensively. The one thing that always gives me pause about that line is stacking them without Jack Eichel. So, at that point, do you full send the power play? But, is their power play good without Mark Stone? Is Braden Bowman making it better than it was since Mark Stone got out? I think so. So do you send a 5-forward power play stack here? I think it's possible. I didn't even know who Braden Bowman was 10 days ago. And now he's playing with Jack Eichel on the top power play and actually playing well. So I'm fine with Vegas too, but I think I would just full send a power play stack here. On the Duck side, this is just a bad matchup. But if the Carlson, Gauthier, Seneca line sticks, that's the one I'm going to, because Leo Carlson and Gauthier played a bunch at the end of last season. They were very, very good. Again, this is just a tough matchup, and they're 16,300, 3.5% projected ownership. They're in that price range with, Utah's right there, Washington 1's right there. Vegas is a very, very good team. I think I'd reserve the Ducks here for 20 max. But if I did play them, it would be the Carlson line.
Yeah, listen, the Ducks are always in play. We say it all the time, Ducks every day. And I agree with you on Carlson, Gauthier, and Seneca. Carlson, Seneca on the top power play. Vegas penalty kill is pretty good. This isn't a good power play spot for Anaheim, but you do get 2 out of the 3 on the top power play unit. And we know Cutter can break a slate even without top power play time. And Carlson and Cutter have been good together in limited minutes so far this season. 68 shot attempts, 2.8 expected goals per 60. It's just not a good matchup against Vegas is kind of the problem. But at their low ownership, I have no problem playing them. I'm going to be honest. I think I would probably rather play the Utah top line, just because Utah is in a very good power play spot, and they're coming in with low single-digit ownership and full power play correlation. So I don't have a problem playing the Ducks. I never do. They're still creating well, even if they haven't been scoring. It's just, I think there are a couple other spots I'd rather go to. So I'm not in on Anaheim tonight. I can't believe I'm saying that. What I'm in on is a Vegas power play stack. You mentioned with Braden Bowman, since he got added to the top power play, 127 shot attempts per 60, 13.6 expected goals per 60. Nitrous, as one might say. They've been excellent. The Anaheim penalty kill is not good, and Anaheim takes a lot of penalties. Second most penalized team in the league over the last 5 weeks. Vegas draws a fair amount of power plays, top 10 in that regard. So this is a very, very good power play spot for Vegas. Bowman's only 3,200. So if you 5-man stack the power play, add in a mid 7K goalie, you can still add a couple mid-priced defensemen and a mid-priced winger or mid-priced center on top of that. If you want to just add Noah Hannafin or whatever, because he's reasonably priced for Vegas, make it a 6-man stack, I think you can do it. This is a really good power play spot for Vegas. You mentioned that second line for Vegas has been really good, 3.5 expected goals per 60. The Vegas top line with Bowman at 5-on-5, 65 shot attempts, 3.3 expected goals per 60. Maybe they just found their new top 6 fixture, and then they're going to put Mark Stone back on the third line when he comes back. Who knows? He's been really good through the first 5 games. This is a pretty good matchup. I like a Vegas power play stack here.
Dallas Stars with a 3.1 total heading into Calgary. The Flames have a 2.8. Dallas going Robertson, Hintz, Sagan. Rantanen, Johnston, Ben. It is Ben, right? Yeah, Ben.
Yeah.
Calgary going Coronado, Huberdeau, Frost, Kadri, Farabee, Sharangovich, Coleman, Backlund, Zari. So, obviously Backlund, Coleman are going to be taking top comp here tonight. Not exactly sure. I think it would be Wyatt Johnson, Mikko Rantanen. I think that's how I would treat them. So, I don't particularly love that line. I don't love Dallas in general here at 5-on-5. Calgary is a very good 5-on-5 defensive team. Their worst defensive line is Coronado, Huberdeau, Frost, and Hintz, Robertson, Sagan. We'll see a fair bit of them. So, I think you can go there at 18.7. The price isn't great, though. This is another spot I'd just power play stack. But, Dustin Wolf has kind of turned his season around.
I think Cooley's starting. But he's actually been the better goalie.
Yeah. So, the way to beat Calgary is still on the penalty kill. It doesn't really matter who's in net. I would do some sort of power play stack, but then you're getting really pricey, and I'd rather just go play Vegas, go play Colorado, that kind of stuff. But I think Dallas 2, the Robertson, Hintz, Sagan line is fine at the price. Calgary, so Dallas still has the second and third pairs from Guatemala after you get Miro Heiskanen off the ice. So I don't mind Coronado, Huberdeau, Frost at 13-4. I'd much rather play them than Seattle. They've been pretty good offensively. They're fully correlated. That's probably where I'd go on the Calgary side. Not super high on Calgary. So my favorite by default would be that Hintz line. Honestly, I don't think in my single entry lineup here tonight, I'm not sure I'm going to have anything from this game.
Yeah, that Coleman and Backlund duo, they will be going out against Rantanen, I imagine. I can't imagine why they would send them out against Roope Hintz. Now, without Samuel Honzek there, that line has not been anywhere near as good defensively. It sucks for Honzek. I think he's out for the year now. Their defensive numbers it's something 15% worse by expected goals when he's not on the top line. They allow a few more shots against. Connor Zari's not having a great year. But the big note for me with that second line, with that, that third line, that shutdown line for Calgary, is that the Flames do get worse defensively with them off the ice. And Robertson and Hintz have been great together this year. They haven't been as good with Sagan. It's been a general problem for Dallas is that their 5-on-5 scoring has not been great. It's their power play that has really carried them. Now it is a good power play spot. They have 3.4 power play opportunities per game over the last 5 weeks. It's the fourth highest rate in the league. That has turned into 17 power play goals in 17 games for them. And as you mentioned, the Flames penalty kill has just not been good. So I agree. I would probably do some sort of Dallas power play stack, or at the least have 3 of the 4 guys. That's getting really expensive. And it's not like they're coming in with minimal ownership, right? Robertson, Hintz, and Sagan, 18,700 at 6.3% ownership. The Vegas second line that you talked about is $1,000 cheaper, coming in at 9.5% ownership. So 6% ownership and $1,000 more expensive, or 9% ownership and $1,000 cheaper. And Vegas is in a much, much better spot here. So just by default, I just think there are other spots I'd rather go play in that price range. So I'm kind of out on Dallas. On the Calgary side, I guess it would be the Frost line, because they are perfectly correlated, but I'm just not in a headspace right now to stack the Calgary Flames on a 10-game slate when they're the late night hammer. I think with how often Nazem Kadri has been shooting the puck, Kadri has it's 36 shots in his last 10 games or something like that. Only 1 goal. But with how often he's been shooting the puck, with how often Matt Coronado's been shooting the puck, like one-offing one of those guys, I think is fine. Full stacking anything from the Flames is just a pass for me. So what I like best in this game is a Dallas power play stack, but I just think there are other power play stacks I'd rather make on the board in single entry here tonight. So I guess I'm out on this game too.
Yeah, mental health awareness. If you're playing one lineup, playing the Flames is not great for your mental health.
I mean, not unless you're playing Showdown.
Yeah. Let's talk about defensemen. Makar is in a tier of his own at 8,500. And then you have Roman Josi, feels nice to say that again. Jake Sanderson, Evan Bouchard, Carlson, Heiskanen. Those are the guys 6K and up. Obviously, Makar's in a, as the Hoss would like to say, a primo spot. He's coming off a 3-point game with 9 shots on goal, 4 block shots, and 2 goals. So it's like, will he do that again? Probably not, but he will be playing like 28 minutes unless it's a blowout. So I do really like Makar. I think after that, for me, it would be not Roman Josi, Jake Sanderson at 6,600. Listen, the Sharks are the Sharks, and he plays big minutes. You know, Chabot coming back won't really affect his minutes. It will just affect the other people's minutes on that line. I think Miro Heiskanen is fine. I wish he did more from a peripheral standpoint to justify the $6,100 price tag, but he plays a absolute boatload of minutes. So listen, if you want to play Josi here, I think that's fine. It's just a brutal matchup for him. So I'd go Makar 1, Sanderson 2, and Miro Heiskanen 3. Honestly, don't mind Erik Karlsson either.
Yeah, for the defenseman 6K and above, Makar, not only in a price range of his own, but projection range of his own. His projection is 20% higher than the next closest guy, priced over 6K. So, I mean, what I will say is that the point per dollar value tips towards Sanderson. And when factoring in price, I also do have Sanderson number 1. But like, if you have the salary and you want to pay $8,500 for Makar, like obviously I had no issue with that. But I really do like Sanderson here. Those are the 2 defensemen over 6K that stick out to me. The mid-price range, like the 5 to 6K guys, there's really not a lot there. Like Chychrun is fine. It's not a great matchup. Rasmus Anderson is fine. It's an okay matchup. It's still the Calgary Flames. Like Lane Hudson, I think makes a lot of sense against Toronto. Brandon Montour, he still puts up good peripherals. Not a bad matchup against Pittsburgh. Seth Jones at home against Edmonton on the top power play unit, I think makes a lot of sense. I will shout out Shea Theodore. Obviously he doesn't get the power play time, but it's a really good matchup against Anaheim. And I still wonder if I do wonder if he harbors any hard feelings about being sent to Vegas.
Probably the opposite of hard.
Yeah, he might be thankful for it. So I will say Shea Theodore under 5K, I think is playable. Under 4K, like Darren Radish, he stands out obviously for his power play role. Jacob Trouba's projecting well. For Anaheim, like he's been blocking a lot of shots. He's been getting involved offensively. Gustav Forsling in a good matchup. Jake McCabe, his point per dollar is pretty good for Toronto. I mean, it is a good matchup against Montreal. Noah Hannafin under 4K is very playable for Vegas. Esa Lindell, he's been playing like 23, 24 minutes a game since Harley went out, so he's fine. I will say Jordan Spence, I think, is still playable even with Chabot back. Like they're going to be on the second pair together. Spence is going to play 18 and 19 minutes. It's a good matchup. I mean, I think if you want to pay the extra 1,000 for Chabot, like perfectly fine. But I'll say Jordan Spence under 3K. Alex Carrier still playing 19 minutes a game. Alex Petrovic's been playing 20 minutes a game since the Harley injury. And Adam Larson from Seattle, he can get the shot block bonus. Let's put it that way.
Let's talk about goalies here. Kenzie Blackwood at the top of the board. I think he makes some sense for cash games. This is a very winnable game for Colorado. I don't love the top tier here. You have the Vegas starter. You have the Ottawa starter. Casey DeSmith in net for Dallas. Bob. Jakub Dobiš. I think Dobiš is fine. He hasn't been great recently. A theme in Montreal, but like I feel like if the team turns it around, it starts in net. So I don't mind him against Toronto. In the mid-range, like Vasilevsky at 7,600, I think is fine. Like I don't mind Danny Boy at 7,500 just because like it's a winnable matchup. I do worry about shot volume though. Like with Nico Hischier off the ice and getting shut down by the Cates line, like, yeah, Grietzuk's a shot bot, but you actually have to get the zone to be able to get shots off. So like, yeah. Like Woll, I like both goalies in the Montreal game, despite it being a 6.5 total, because both teams have looked pretty bad lately. Askarov at 7,100. That's about as low as I would go. Like Philip Grubauer is confirmed for Seattle. It's like, give me something playable from Pittsburgh, please. But I hate goalie tonight more than usual. So if there's someone you really like, play him. But I think for me, my top would be Vasilevsky, and Askarov, as disgusting as that sounds.
Yeah. Blackwood has the highest projection. I mean, Scott Wedgwood technically does in the projections right now, but Blackwood is confirmed and he'll be at the top. If you have the salary, I think Blackwood is fine. Like, it's a very, very winnable. Obviously, with the way Colorado's playing, they've been winning a lot of games. And at this point with my goalies, it's like, give me 11 or 12 points. I don't care what the price is. And I'm fine with that. So Blackwood, I don't mind DeSmith. Like, I would much rather prefer Ottinger at that price, but it's still the Calgary Flames.
Wish he was a little cheaper.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, Blackwood, Mackenzie Blackwood is 8,500 tonight in net, and Casey DeSmith is 84. Like, I'll just find the extra $100 and go play Blackwood. As long as Mershov starts for Pittsburgh, I think he's very playable here. Like I was saying earlier, prospect people seem to be high on him. Nobody's high on the Seattle Kraken, so I think he's perfectly fine at his price. For the cheaper guys, like I had Decord number 1. That's a scratch now with Grubauer starting. So the two cheap guys for me are Dostal at home and Askarov at home. Just depends how much salary you have to spend. I would go Dostal and then Askarov, but those are the cheap guys I would go to.
Yep. I believe we're going to be back on Monday. Yes.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. There's only one game on Tuesday, but then a massive slate on Wednesday. Who you liking for your hat trick pick?
I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path here, but not too much. I'm going to go Dylan Cousins.
I think I'm going way off the beaten path here. I'm going with the book reader himself, Ben Kindle.
Okay, fair enough. It would be a Kindle surprise, you might say.
On that note, we'll see you guys on Monday. Good luck, everybody, tonight, and we'll see you in the Discord.
Good luck tonight, everyone.